Conflict is an unavoidable part of life. We encounter it in our relationships, workplaces, and even within ourselves. We live in a world that celebrates domination and winning, where being on top often seems like the ultimate goal. But what if the real battle isn't with the people around us, the ones we perceive as enemies? What if, instead of engaging in external battles, the true challenge lies within us, with our emotions, insecurities, and fears? This video explores the idea that true victory isn't about defeating someone else, but dismantling the anger, resentment, and fear that often hold power over us. It's about understanding that the real enemies are not the ones standing in front of us, but the battles we fight internally. The greatest strength comes not from overpowering others, but from mastering our internal conflicts, and by doing so, we destroy our enemies without ever engaging in a fight. From a young age, many of us are taught that success comes from being the best, from winning at all costs. Whether in sports, academics, or career, we are encouraged to compete, often pitting ourselves against others. This mindset extends into our personal lives, where relationships too can become battlegrounds. We may not be literally fighting, but the drive to be right, to come out on top, often turns these interactions into struggles for power. Society has glorified this mindset of us versus them, a belief that life is a zero-sum game where one person's gain is another's loss. Winning, we are told, requires defeating someone else, whether it's a competitor, a colleague, or even a loved one. However, this approach to life can lead to constant tension, where every disagreement or conflict feels like a battle to be won. Yet victory achieved through domination often feels hollow. When we push someone down to lift ourselves up, the satisfaction is fleeting. Why? Because the real conflict remains unresolved, inside of us. The anger, insecurity, and fear that fueled the battle still linger, gnawing away at our peace of mind. The truth is, our greatest enemies aren't always external forces. Often, they are the unseen struggles within us: fear, shame, insecurity, and self-doubt. These internal battles can distort our perception of the world, making us feel constantly under threat. They lead us to believe that the only way to survive is by fighting back, by defending ourselves against every perceived attack, even when there's no real threat. Fear, for example, is a powerful internal enemy. It causes us to view the world through a lens of defensiveness. Fear whispers that we're not safe, that others are out to hurt us or take what's ours. It makes us reactive, seeing threats in situations that don't warrant such intensity. This fear creates tension in our relationships and prevents us from connecting openly and honestly with others. Instead of viewing people as potential allies, we see them as competitors or threats to our well-being. This mindset not only fuels conflict, but also isolates us, preventing us from experiencing the support and understanding we crave. To continue to view more of these videos, kindly subscribe, like, comment, and share this video by clicking on the subscription button. Shame is another destructive internal force. It convinces us that we're not enough, that we need to prove our worth constantly. This can lead to either lashing out at others or withdrawing from them entirely. Shame tells us that we must win at all costs to validate our existence. It leads to harsh judgment, not only of others, but also of ourselves, trapping us in a cycle of conflict and isolation. We project our insecurities onto others, assuming they are judging us as harshly as we judge ourselves. Insecurity amplifies both fear and shame. It makes us hyper-aware of any potential threats to our self-esteem, making us see enemies where there are none. When we operate from a place of insecurity, we're constantly on edge, perceiving others' actions and words as attacks, even when they aren't meant that way. This defensiveness turns minor disagreements into major conflicts, all because we're fighting battles with our inner turmoil, rather than any real external threat. The first step toward destroying your enemy without fighting is recognizing that your true enemies are within. Once we acknowledge that fear, shame, and insecurity are the real forces driving us to conflict, we can begin to take responsibility for our reactions. Instead of blaming others for our feelings of anger or defensiveness, we can look inward to understand what's truly going on. This self-awareness is crucial. By identifying the internal struggles that dictate our behavior, we can start breaking the cycle of conflict. Rather than engaging in endless battles with the world around us, we can focus on dismantling the harmful narratives that keep us trapped in fear and resentment. The real power lies not in defeating others, but in conquering the emotional forces that fuel our reactions. One of the most effective tools for overcoming conflict is vulnerability. In a world that often equates strength with power over others, embracing vulnerability requires immense courage. It invites us to show our true selves, our fears, insecurities, and uncertainties. When we are vulnerable, we allow others to see us for who we really are, rather than the defensive, guarded version of ourselves that we present when we feel threatened. Vulnerability fosters connection. When we're open and honest about our feelings, it encourages others to do the same. Instead of reacting to conflict with anger or defensiveness, we can approach it with openness and a willingness to understand. This vulnerability helps to diffuse tension and creates an environment where both parties can navigate conflict with grace. Empathy is a powerful tool for transforming conflict. When we practice empathy, we step outside of our own perspective and genuinely try to understand the experiences, feelings, and motivations of others. This shift in perspective can be transformative, both for ourselves and for the relationships we navigate. In moments of conflict, our instinct may be to defend our position or criticize the other party. However, empathy allows us to see beyond the surface of the disagreement. It encourages us to explore the emotions driving our actions and the actions of others. When we approach conflict with empathy, we are more likely to discover that the other person may be acting out of fear, insecurity, or pain. By acknowledging these emotions, we can approach the situation with compassion rather than hostility. This shift in focus diminishes defensiveness and fosters a spirit of collaboration. When we approach conflict with empathy and a desire for understanding, we open the door to solutions that benefit everyone involved. Conflict no longer feels like a battle to be won, but rather an opportunity for growth and healing. One of the most liberating aspects of this approach is releasing the need for control and dominance. True strength doesn't come from overpowering others, but from standing confidently in who we are while respecting the identities of others. When we let go of the need for control, we create space for collaboration and shared growth. This shift in mindset allows us to transform conflicts into opportunities for mutual understanding. By embracing humility and vulnerability, we create an environment where both parties can express themselves freely and work together toward solutions that benefit everyone. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up. It means allowing room for growth and connection. Ultimately, destroying your enemy without fighting means turning inward and addressing the internal struggles that fuel conflict. By recognizing that our real enemies are fear, shame, and insecurity, we can begin to dismantle the harmful narratives that keep us trapped in a cycle of conflict. Through vulnerability, empathy, and a willingness to let go of control, we unlock the door to true strength and personal growth. The real victory comes not from defeating others, but from overcoming the internal battles that hold us back. In a world that glorifies domination, the most powerful act we can take is to choose peace within ourselves. When we conquer our inner enemies, we no longer need to engage in external battles. We find that we've already won, not by destroying others, but by reclaiming our peace, our empathy, and our power. Do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this video with your friends and family. Thank you.